Hi, and welcome to this video where we are going to paint a beginner-friendly lighthouse. And I'm just going to draw it here. And here you can see my reference. This is from Unsplash, where you can find so many beautiful free photos to use in your art. So that's just a small tip for you. And I'm just roughly drawing it out here with my pencil. This is a regular pencil. It's an HB pencil. It just looks a little different because there's no wood around it. So that's why it's a little weird. And I have to admit something to you today. I have kind of a headache, so we'll see how this goes. But I'm not promising anything. But sometimes it's really nice to paint even if stuff hurts, because it's great. It's a great thing for your muscles and just for the body to relax and try to think about something else. So I'm going to try this and see how it goes. Here I'm just you can see how roughly I just sketched out this lighthouse, and then I'm just doing this ground that it stands on. It's kind of a rocky thing, and then a horizon line, and I think it's going to be water. Well, most lighthouses are actually standing next to the ocean, of course, so that's why. Yeah, just trying to carefully erase the lines. I hope you can still see them, and I hope I can still see them. Sometimes it's good to leave them a little. They will shine through the paint, but if you erase them too much, you may not be able to see them. So there's pros and cons, but I removed most of it. And now we can go in and give it a nice wash on the background. Here you go. And I'm just painting with my natural hair brush. It holds a lot of water, so I can go for a while with this. And I'm just putting down clean water in a... Yeah, I'm not doing it in any exact way. I'm just roughly putting in a nice wash and just dropping in some color. And this is a Paynes Grey. And if you watched my other videos, you'll know that I use a lot of Paynes Grey. And don't forget to subscribe if you are watching this video on YouTube. I'm posting videos every week, both advanced and beginner friendly, so feel free to go and subscribe to get to know when there's more. Here I just used a brown color and more Paynes Grey, and you can see this sky is just super rough, and I want this to be easy for beginners, so there's not going to be much to worry about in the sky, besides from getting a nice clean edge here towards the lighthouse, so we can preserve the white in the lighthouse. And the paint will not go where there's no water, so it'll spread wherever you have put down the water. So be super careful when you place your water on the paper. And if you paint with clean water first, to kind of give that template for the paint to run around in, you can if you mess up and paint within the lighthouse, you can go in and remove it and it won't show. So it's a great way to experiment a little. I'm just adding a little bit of blue, and this is a cold blue. It's a Phtalo Blue, because I want my sky to be pretty cold in texture. not texture, of course, in temperature. So the lighthouse will stand out with the warm colors. And here I'm just adding a little bit of yellow. This is new Gamboge that's mixed up with the blues, so it's a little greenish tone. And here I'm just dragging my color down to the ground, just lifting a little here. Just to make sure I have my horizon line. And there you go. Just again dragging it down there. It's always funny to narrate these videos after you paint it, because you can see so many things you wanted to do differently. For example, if I should paint this again, I would definitely add some trees or bushes in that white area next to the lighthouse. But it's a little spoiler, but I will leave it white in this video. But if I were you, I would add some trees before painting the ground, maybe, so it could bleed a little into the sky. So that was just a reflection there. And just adding a little bit of the green to a yellow. Just to kind of mix it up a little so it's not super bright. And here I'm just adding some yellow shadow on my house here, lighthouse. And I want it to be kind of that time of day where the sun sets, or maybe sun rises, but I think it's a sunset. And I'm just softening the edge here with my thirsty brush. Just adding a little bit of the clean yellow as well, so we have that warm hue to make the lighthouse stand out from the cooler colors in the sky and in the ground. I'm just wetting that area as well. I think that's going to, yeah, it's gonna make some of the sky color bleed a little into the lighthouse, and that's totally fine. And kind of what I wanted, so it's definitely fine. And the reason I just put my brush down really slow was because I was thinking while I was doing it, so I apologize for being super slow. Here, just lifted up some color, some of the water puddles with a tissue, so we don't get any back runs. And that puddle up there, I'm just trying to see if I can get it to spread into the sky. I like the color, and I wanted it to be part of the sky and not just lift it. So let's see how that goes. Now we can let it dry and come back to it in a few minutes. And that dried up really beautiful and created a back run, as you can see on the bottom of the page, where the sky color that we kind of tipped around bled into the ground. That's totally fine. I'm loving that, so that's cool. Here I'm doing the water, and I'm doing it in a dry brush manner, so dipping my brush in the paint, and this is a wet brush, but dipping it in the paint and just kind of tilting it. You can see I'm holding it pretty far down to the paper, so it's almost like laying down flat on the paper. And when I want my dark color, I paint with the tip of my brush, and where I want my dry brush marks, I paint with the body of the brush. And the reason I'm doing this is to get a nice shine on the water, like the sun shines in the waters. So I like how that effect just it's super easy, and it gives so much. Make sure to have more shine on the right side and less on the left side, at least if you want the sun to shine on the right side. And speaking of things you want to do differently, I wish I had left some of the sky on top, above the sea level here, blank, so there would actually be a light source of some kind, because now I'm just using my dry brush, cool dry brush effect to do shimmers where there's no light source. So that's just for next time. Now I'm trying to kind of push my light source out of the paper, so that's why I'm doing all my shimmers in the far right side of the composition. I think next time I might do it differently, but it's sometimes really good to paint and reflect on it afterwards. And as I said before, I'm having this annoying headache today, so that's one of the reasons I'm not thinking about composition that much. I'm just painting and doing what I like to do, which is just letting the colors flow and just creating something beautiful. And under normal circumstances, I would probably think way more before putting down my brush or doing anything really. So this is a great thing to pass on, I think. So even if you have a headache, or if your anything hurts, don't let that hold you back. It's a great healing experience, and even if the result is not going to be exactly like you want it to be, that's totally fine. You still learn something, and you still get a lot of healing out of it. So that's just a small tip here. I don't think I'm gonna do too much more with this water. I just want to give the impression that it kind of hugs around the ground, or the rock formation here. I'm just going to add a little bit of yellow so it reflects the sky. So we have a little bit of light situation going. I'm just going to darken that up a bit. I know it's in the background and this will dry lighter, and at the moment it looks a little weird, but I'm going in to paint the rocky area in a second. But first of all, let's let the waters dry and come back to it in a few minutes. So now it's dried, and we can go in and darken that foreground. And up till now we just worked on the lighthouse and we just worked on the background and the middle ground, but now we can go in with some darker colors and really let this lighthouse and the rocks come in shape and let them be focus. Here I'm just using the side of my brush again to do the dry brush effect as I did on the water, but just doing that on the rocks this time, just to create some texture and some shape here in the rocky area. And dry brushing is such a cool effect to use, because it's an instant texture that you can do with your brush. And I'm just using a clean brush here, a fine tip brush, to drag out some grasses here and there. And I'm just using the pigment that I already put down. And I don't think I mentioned this, but I am only using a few colors. It's a Paynes Grey, a new Gamboge, and there was a little Phtalo Blue. And then in some minutes I'm going to use a Pyrrol Scarlet as well on the Lighthouse, but that's actually the only colors we are going to use today. And I'm trying to keep the dark colors on the rocky area and the sky and the water, and then letting the lighthouse be the warm center point. Now it's dry again, and we can go in and take a look at the lighthouse again. I'm just making sure that it's completely dry, and now I'm actually going in to sketch a little again, because I want my lighthouse to be to have these iconic red stripes. And it is a little bit intimidating to go in with a beautiful red when we have this very light lighthouse, but somehow I think I really needed that warm color, that pop of color, to really create the focus I wanted in this painting. I think we could actually work without it as well, but I do like a nice and stripy lighthouse. So I'm just putting down the color here on the left side, following the lines, and I'm not finishing it all the way through, because I want to soften the edge and kind of make it a lighter value on the right side, where we also have the lighthouse lighter on the right side. And I think I made a mistake here by waiting too long. Should probably just have softened it. Yeah, it's it dried a little too much, and you can see how it gets a little patchy now when I'm going in with my my damp brush. That's a little annoying. We're going to fix it, but it is a little annoying. Okay, I'm just doing it here as well, and that was a little dry as well, so we have kind of the same situation, but it's not that bad. It's not as bad as on the top. Okay, I'm just adding a little bit more paint, doing it here as well. There you go. You can see how that helped instantly. And because I had wet my paper, it just bled into the watery mix. So that looks pretty cool. And I can add the top of, it's like a hat, a small hat on top of my lighthouse here. That really ties the lighthouse together and creates an ending to it. So that's pretty cool. But you can see how you can really see in my painting that I'm having a headache today, because rocks and mountains and water looks great because I don't have to think too much, but when I'm doing the lighthouse, it's beginning to get a little crooked. And I admit I have cheated a little, and I know the result because I'm narrating this afterwards. So I can tell you it gets worse. But it's a learning experience, and I hope you can learn from it anyway. Yeah, just while the lighthouse is drying, I'm just adding more details in a super dark Paynes Grey, just dragging it out a bit here to create that dry brush effect again. And that is such a great effect for mountains and rocks and stuff like that, because they have that beautiful texture. And I really want to avoid too many patches of the same color and value. I want to break them up to get a more interesting look. And here the red just bled a little into the background, the sky. I'm just fixing that with a damp brush, just rubbing it a little, and it goes away. I think that is it. Now let's let it dry again. Yeah, see, now I'm fairly happy about this dried up landscape, this lighthouse. So now I'm going to add details. And guys, this is where it goes to hell. Sorry. So you have to bear with me here. I know you can do a lot better than I'm doing today, but I am still going to show you. Not just pretend that this didn't happen, because it did, and we all make mistakes. And it's so funny. It's the minute I have to think about this, that's the minute it goes wrong. Yeah, see, I'm just using the fine tip of my brush here, just adding lines. And I'm actually looking at the several lighthouses at the moment, just to see how they look and how the lines go around in a lighthouse. So you can just Google lighthouses and you'll find so many different ones. You see, I'm just adding small details, but still enough to be able to see. And then I'm just adding a little line under the hat. Seriously, this is crooked. Like, I've never seen a lighthouse before. I'm adding a door. A very small window here. And seriously, that door is out of proportions. I really do apologize. I'm one of those people who suffer from migraines, and that's the worst thing. So it's great to have art to help with that. And I think filming it and narrating it is actually really helpful. And I am going to take a nap afterwards, don't worry. I'm just adding shadows here, but not too much. I want my yellow new Gamboge to shine through and still have that warm feel. So we don't want to add too much cool shadow. I'm just adding a little bit of details on the side, not too much. Just a line here and there. And I want to soften that door a little because it looked really, really sharp. And softening the edges of the shadow as well. And I must admit, I love a lot of things in this painting, so I'm super happy that I did it. But there's stuff I want to change as well. So if you have any suggestions for changing, that's totally fine to give me some comments. And remember to subscribe if you want to get to hear about new videos, I would love to share them with you. And I'll see you in the next one.